what I have is close to impossibility. Why? Because this medical missionary work is very broad. And usually a topic stands on its own. You have to run sessions on it. But I need to combine everything. So we'll do what the Lord permits us to do. But one quotation that I love that comes from the book Fundamentals of Christian Education says, Christ never taught anything that could not be utilized. He only taught the things that could be utilized. So my prayer is that God help us and help me as well to share the things that will be able to utilize. Before we start today, I just want to share just a short story. Personally, growing up, I wanted to be a medical doctor. That was the desire. And for me, it was not an issue with academics. And I didn't worry, and I didn't think otherwise, what if I fail or what? There was no failure for me. So it was definite. But growing up, coming to study God's Word, studying the Bible, I came across the book Ministry of Healing. By then I was still in the high school. I sat down, I read it, and I understood. I made a decision, it was clear. I'm no longer going for medicine. So I can say I've been called to be unconventional. And there is a purpose for that. So I'll cut the long story short to say, so the things that we'll be learning, to be honest, they may look the other side, will focus on the things that work. People have studied a lot, even in medical missionary work, dealing with patients. There are things that we have prided to think they are the gold of this work. Nevertheless, there are things that really are important. So those are the things that we are going to focus. As I look at most of the medical doctors in Zim, when we are together, when we are asked the question to deal with disease, they will say, let the doctor tell you. They refer to me as a doctor to say, no, we can't answer. He has to answer. So that what we are studying here, I still remember we're doing some program with this specialist physician, she's a specialist lady, and we were presenting together. So she was driving me, and then she asked and said, what did you study? I said, nothing. I said, it can't be. I said, why? Because the knowledge you have has challenged my papers. She is a PhD holder. Then she argued. We argued all the way, saying, no, you are lying to me. I told her, I don't have. The thing that I've known and have studied is the book Ministry of Healing. We argued, she couldn't believe it. But literally, she says the knowledge has challenged my papers. But where is the knowledge? It's the simplicity of the gospel. If you are to be successful in this work and we are to be successful, don't ever look down on this. So what I'm doing with these lessons, I'm trying to challenge you to say, you will never study this book to the end. One statement, you can take a year to understand it. If you really want to study it. Okay, so that's some of the things that we'll be doing, and I've introduced it yesterday. That's why God says the wisdom of the great physician. So God is really in this particular work. So what we have to do as God's children, let's just align ourselves with God, and His instructions are the ones that will stand. So may God be with us and bless us. There are people who travel from far off. Like sometimes we have to deal with people in the Switzerland and other countries. They'll say, no, we have heard. But I'm clear to say it's not about us, but it's about the one who said we are to do it. So the methods we employ are not our own methods. So let's read the book from the Bible. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7. There's a thought that I would want us to learn there. That will help us, and we conclude what we started yesterday. First we review, then we conclude, then we start some other things today again. I'm trying to pick a big, but I'm trying to focus on the most essentials. Like I've mentioned, we can only teach that which can be utilized. So I've mentioned that it's very unfortunate. I'll sound a bit unconventional. That's my calling. Yes. So we'll study what God has said, and we'll stick to that. Someone to read Proverbs 4, verse 7. What does it say? Yes. 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 What are we commissioned to get? What are we commissioned to get? The principal thing that we need is wisdom. And we are told the wisdom of the great physician is in the book, The Ministry of Healing. Lo and behold, we look for other things. People have gone to start. People are now thinking, let me go and study naturopathic medicine. And that is a mixture. I can tell you, that's a mixture. Right? So as me to be very proficient in this work, we need God's wisdom. And in all thy getting, get understanding. The thing we are commissioned to look for is wisdom. When you have got wisdom, God has no problem in you looking for information. Unfortunately, we want data. When people come for trainings, firstly, I say, write your expectations. Lo and behold, the expectations. I say, okay, people are looking for data here. Right? They are looking for data. They are looking for information. But what we have to impart or to be imparted with is wisdom. You can go and study. There's more literature that has been written on issues of disease. Okay, this disease is caused by what? That is information. What we need is wisdom. So what we are studying now is the wisdom. So what is the science of healing? Where does healing come from? The world doesn't know about that. The world think that the cost of their healing is on the prescription. The cost of the prescription is what causes them to be healed. That's why people, they live anyhow, because they know that we've got a family doctor. He's going to sort our issues out. It costs more than that. So for them to understand that, no, this is what God wants, they will never understand it unless they understand this. Let me just read something. I think I shared with you that other day. This quotation, it was on page 400. I don't know why that day I missed it, but it's in the original. That's where it's 400. I'll just read about Christ for you to see the situation in which we are, and we also have to be careful for us to fall in that particular pit. All right, I'm reading now. It says, with the people of that age, the value of things was estimated by outward show. As religion had declined in power, it had increased in pomp. The educators of the time sought to command respect by display and ostentation. To all this, the life of Jesus presented a marked contrast. His life demonstrated the worthlessness of those things that men regarded as life's essentials. I want you to take note of this statement that I'm about to read. The schools of his time, with their magnifying of things small and belittling of things great. So the greatest mistake that we are meeting is of magnifying small things. And the things that we are supposed to magnify, we are actually undermining them. So that was the situation, and that is the situation in our time again. He says, he did not seek. His education was gained from heaven-appointed sources, from useful work, from the study of scriptures, from nature and from the experiences of life, God's lesson book full of instruction to all who bring to them the willing hand, the seeing eye, and the understanding heart. So we need the wisdom from God. That's the principal thing. If we get that thing right, I have no problem. When you are now reading, you can save to know, no, this is correct, this is not. If you want to know the right money or the right, you have to study the genuine and the original for you to be able to say, no, this is not the right thing. As you are reading material, there are things that are being posted in groups, even in our Adventist cycles, even in the cycles, those or medical missionary cycles. Sometimes I even look down to say, Lord, what's happening here? Because it's really going against what principle is saying. So how do you evaluate and read this thing is right or it's not right? It's because of the principles that we have studied and God has given us. Okay, that being said, let's have a quick review of what we have covered so far. If I'm satisfied, then we can now move. We want to up our gear a bit so that we can be able to cover some of the things. But for me, I have to be satisfied that what have we covered? Because what we've been covering so far is the wisdom of the great physician, the principal thing. What have we learned so far? What have we learned? I sent some two PDFs, right? On the group. You saw them? Okay, that's fine. We are going to come to those a bit later. Let's review a bit. What have we learned so far? What have we grasped? So that we get into our lesson for today. What have we learned so far? Okay, people are opening their books. It's okay. Don't worry. Open. Yes. A medical missionary is someone who is sent to bring what? Relief. Why are we sent to bring relief? So that we can gain the confidence. You know, let me tell you, brethren, there is this idea that if you are invited to a church as a medical missionary or as a gospel worker, if they call you again, then you have babazirat them. You have not really spoken the message. I'm here to argue that. Christ people would flock to him. They would want to hear him. Even those that were sent to spy at him, to say, go and listen and spy. They said, you know what? Never men spake as this man. Are you now also one of them? The power is difficult to resist. I tell people to say, as a medical missionary, it is a mistake for them to give you the platform. If they can do something, never should they play around and giving you a platform. The moment they give you a platform, they are charmed. Already. We're coming from a certain program with one of my friends, and there was this guest speaker was preaching. So when we were now coming back from that particular place, we drove together. And he was not really much into a health message. So he said, you guys, you should not be given opportunity to speak. I said, what's the problem? Your problem, you charm people. You charm people. When you start speaking, everyone wants to listen. That's the work of a medical missionary. Because what you are presenting is something precious. And they say, you know what? It's unresistible. Are we together? Yes. So as a medical missionary, like what my elder said, Elder Misha, that we should be indispensable. They should know that no, we can't do without these people. That's a medical missionary. In the community, in the church, and even in the country. There's one lady back there in Zim said, you guys, if you are really serious with this work, you can turn this country upside down. It's unresistible. You can't resist it. Thank you for that comment. Who else has what they have learned? Yes. It is to bring people to the river of life. You are not there in the equation. Remember, it's God who said, I want to do terrible things. I want to do wonders. But I want you to share in the glory of that work. Unfortunately, as medical missionaries, we are taking the glory that is due to God. We should. That's why the pen of inspiration says in the sick room, when you have won the battle, kneel down with the patient and praise God. So that they themselves know that this is not a work of the human hand. It is a divine working. Okay, thank you for that. Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Yesterday we covered, we are now on the disease approach, right? Yes. Thank you. All right. I think our platform is a little bit better. Now I'm safe to cruise. Are we together? Yes. Now we are a bit safe to cruise. Let's get into how do we deal with the disease. Yesterday we read a key part. That one it should just be ringing in your head. Whenever you meet a patient, never do shortcuts. There is only one way of that heaven approves of healing. There is only one. Are we together? Only one that heaven will put a stamp on to say what? Go. Let me tell you something. Because something has worked does not mean it's the right thing. Hello? There is Isaac and Esau. Because something has worked does not mean it is the right thing. Remember in the case of Abraham and Sarah, when they cooked their issue, a child was born. But God still said, yes, you are saying in the community the child is there, but this is not Isaac. This is Ishmael. It's not Isaac. So even though the child was there and Abraham had the child and they were thinking that's the heir, but God said that's not the heir. The heir is Isaac. So what God wants, so the fact that the thing has worked does not mean it's the right thing. You are not there. The fact that the thing has worked does not make it right. For the community there, it was okay for Sarah to allow Hagar to have a child with Abraham. For the community, no one would say, you are doing the wrong thing. Biologically, it was correct. Sarah was past the age of bearing a child. So what did you want her to do? But God said, no, Ishmael is not Isaac. So remember, as a medical missionary, you should not just be concerned it worked. So therefore, no, is it what God is saying? So thank you very much for that. Now, we established that those particular principles, what did we say? In case of sickness, let's now cruise. In case of sickness, what are we supposed to do? Ascertain the cause. And on the cause, I touched something, right? What else is on the first step? Ascertaining the cause, we were given the principle. The first thing is to ascertain the true nature of the disease and therefore go and work intelligently to remove the cause. Are we together? Okay, so how do we do that? Remember I told you that also if you are reading the pen of inspiration, don't rush. Right? Yes, you will miss a lot of things. You will miss a lot of things if you do what? If you do rush. All right, so how do we ascertain the cause? I think we went through the predisposing causes to disease. Do we still remember? Okay. Maybe let me just pause there. I want to read two statements on that so that we go on to how do we now determine the quotations on the... I mentioned something about malaria yesterday. You still remember? Okay. I want you to... There's a part that I skipped yesterday. I said because of our time. Someone was still opening Healthful Living, chapter... We said 14, right? Okay. I think mine is now okay. No. Okay. All right. It talks about meat eating as another predisposing cause. I think you saw it. Yesterday we skipped it. I want to read something. It says, the eating of flesh meats has made a poor quality of blood and flesh. Your systems are in a state of inflammation, prepared to take on disease. You are liable to acute attacks of disease and to sudden death because you do not... No, this is what I don't want this one. Sorry. I want the next one. All right. This one, it says, when we feed on flesh, the juices of what we eat pass into the circulation. A feverish condition is created because the animals are diseased. And by partaking of their flesh, we plant the seeds of disease in our own tissue and blood. Then when exposed to the changes in a malarious atmosphere, to prevailing epidemics and contagious diseases, these are more sensibly felt, for the system is not in a condition to resist disease. So what makes one more susceptible? It is the condition. So in this particular case, we are reading that word, meat eating. So when someone has eaten meat, the feverish condition that is created, when someone goes into a highly malaria-infested zone, we call it the plus what? The plasmodium says, no, I've seen a fatal land here. Let's go and what? And feast. Are we together? So what has created that condition is because already is what I am practicing. So that's what we meant by a predisposing cause to disease. So these are things that we, besides what the world studied, the world just studies that to say what causes disease. Your disease is caused, for example, autoimmune diseases. What causes autoimmune diseases? The cause is unknown, but it is suspected that mumps and viruses. For example, type 1 diabetes, right? Another example of autoimmune disease that we know? Rheumatism is another example. But now you have to go deeper and understand from God's wisdom. What really causes it? You now discovered that milk is the one that is killing those cells. Go and do the research. In families where they are prone to autoimmune disease, they've got a long history of using dairy. But in the medical literature, you won't find that. You won't find that. Because what they are looking at the microbial activity. That's where they are starting first, to say it's caused by a fungi. But what has set that platform for that fungi to be able to thrive? Fungi does not thrive in a system where it's not sugary. Fungi thrives in acidic conditions. It thrives in a sugary in sugary conditions. So that's what feeds it. That's why we say when you are dealing with fungi infections, right? You need, that person has to stay away of sugar completely for at least 3 good months. You are starving that bacteria and that fungi. There's this particular lady recently, I think it's not recently though, she had a difficult challenge that she had. And she tried medicals and they tried whatever they could. And when we were dealing with her, I discovered, no, this is along fungi. Because fungi is very difficult to treat and it's very stubborn. Right? Fungi is very difficult and it's stubborn. So I removed everything that encourages the fungi to grow. And she was doing very well. The itchiness went away and things were moving well. Then one day she said, you know what? I just felt that I need tea. And I added sugar. And it started again. And she said, I've learned my lesson. I'll never try it again. That's how instant it is, because that's the food for it. So now these particular things, we need to know, okay, when I'm dealing with this particular disease, I'm not only looking, that's the wisdom part we are talking about. I'm not only looking on the mere surface. That's why it says we should take the trouble. Are we together? We should take And thank you for saying that it is not for lazy people. You remind me to share of this story. There's this trainee. She was studying dentistry in China. She decided, no, I'm quitting. I'm coming for medical missionary. I said, that's okay. She came. She was on a 6-month program. So what she did was, so there's this patient, there's this particular herb that we wanted. So we were harvesting it locally. So around winter, the plant or the tree from the history. So what does it mean? Relatively, it's dependent on the person. What were we taught with the ministry of healing? In case of sickness, no, before that statement, the patient himself can do much that no one else can do for that person. So we are saying, when you do a thorough history taking, you are 75 to 85% away from the solution. Or you're almost there. The diagnosis is there to confirm it's just 5%. Just go for an x-ray. Just go for a what? So you have to take a detailed history. Are we together? Yeah. Ask a person, where do you live? Demographic. Where do you stay? Why? Remember, we mentioned there are conditions that are caused by unhygienic environments. There are conditions that are caused by damp what? Damp rooms and swampy areas. So the moment you know, okay, this person is coming from this particular thing, particular town or particular place, they live in which environment? What is their setting like? Are we together? So that's, you are asking about the demographics. Where do they stay? Where do they live? What is the environment like? That is the building up on what you are going to recommend the person. Are we together? Sometimes the issue is that, okay, this is where you stay. So you are going to advise a person based on the analysis you have done now to say, okay, so we are going to work it in this particular way. Then the other thing that is very important, sometimes they call the patient complaints, or we call them current complaints. What is the person complaining about? Don't make a mistake to suggest to them. This is subjective. Let them tell you what they are feeling in their own words. Hello? In their own words, to say, oh, I'm feeling here. Probe them questions. Okay, so what has brought you here? What is it that you are feeling? Are we together? Yes. When the person tells you how they are feeling, that's what we call, what is the patient complaining with? So we call it patient complaints, right? History of presenting complaints. The person has come complaining with this, but what has been the history like? When did it start? How did it start? I want to tell you this. The moment you skip these steps, you will miss the mark. There is a lady, unfortunately she is now late. That lady she started to swell, right? Having a swelling of the stomach. There are many possibilities. What are the possibilities that can cause the stomach to swell? Liver challenge that causes ascites. That's the accumulation of the what? Of the fluid in the abdominal cavity, right? What else can cause the the stomach to swell? Sorry? Pregnancy. Thank you. Then this is another important thing as well, right? For all women who are still under, who have not yet reached menopause, right? You treat them as they are pregnant. Are you getting what I'm saying? When a lady or a woman has not reached the menopause, okay, what is menopause? Women? Menopause. Okay, do you know menstruation? You get the point, right? When it stops completely, they have no issues now. They don't pay rent when they reach that age, right? Okay. All right. And we also expect if they've got fibroids, they start to shrink on themselves, right? Yes, usually when you reach menopause, we expect the fibroids to start to shrink, right? Okay, because what feeds them is actually those hormones, the estrogen, right? The more it is, then it starts to feed that. That's why for fibroids, we say no eggs, no what. But the other cause that is well not unknown is called stimulation. The Bible says, do not stir love before it is its time. The other medical term for fibroids is called stones of a disappointed womb. The womb is disappointed in two ways. Either you've delayed to get pregnant, right? Or you have stimulated it by what you see, what you listen to, what you've eaten, but nothing actually happened. So it was stimulated and it throws the stones. So it's called stones of a disappointed womb. The same thing for enlarged prostate. It's also the prostate that is, in a way, the same thing that causes fibroids and cysts to women are more or less the things that also causes an enlargement of the prostate. Are we together? Okay. So this particular lady, so the other friend of mine called and said, if you're passing through this town, please, is it possible to go and see this lady? She's having some problems. So I went there, I saw the lady, I talked to her and asked her, so how did it start and things like that. I said, no, it just started. I've never been to hospital. It's my first time. So when she went to the hospital, she was diagnosed of high blood pressure. She was put on high blood pressure medication instantly. Right? Remember yesterday we mentioned of conditions that are acute. Are we together? Okay. I want you to make the connection. So when I went and talked to her and we discussed, so I said, no, I just, nothing that I did. People just say nothing, right? If you ask them, are your bowels okay? They say, they are okay. Don't end it there. Probe another question. Okay, so are you having this? Does it mean, because when they say no, they are okay, usually they are shy. Because those things are not nice to talk about. We are going to talk about it today. Right? The things that you shy about. But it's more important for us to analyze the causes. Are we together? So this lady, we talked and talked. So she, in other words, I think she hid some of the information. But in myself, I was convinced this may not be ulcers, this may not be what. Even the high blood pressure, I don't think it's the high blood pressure. So one of the things that can do that is gas. When there's fermentation in the stomach, carbon dioxide is a strong gas that actually pushes the organs. Right? So the high blood pressure that was there, it was not high blood pressure. It was the gas that was in the stomach that was pushing organs. So when it pushes an organ, it also pushes in the vessels, they go into tension. So the blood pressure went up and the stomach was swelling. So unfortunately, I was going back. Then I just passed by, and now this day, I pinned her again, and we discussed. Because I was trying to ask her the same questions. How did it start? And they were just booting about the bush. But how it started now, on the last day that I was passing by, going back to our place, then she said, this thing started when I drank, what do you call them in Malawi? We call them maheu, you know. It's maheu still. But it's those maheu that have, I know they were homemade. I think I don't know if they were homemade or they were bought. But they've, those that have heavily, it's like matured. That are a bit sourish. That's what she drank. And that is a recipe for disaster. That's fermentation. And unfortunately, she was not able to eat other foods, and they were giving her milk. So look at the fermentation now. If we are to do an experiment now, you won't like it. Okay, you remind me, we'll do that experiment. We'll put those things in a bottle. You'll see the swelling there. Do you know if the animals or the cattle, they eat the maize, they drink water, what happens? They swell and die. If you are brave enough, just take a sword, poke on the tummy, you see air coming out. So we say it's better to heal the wound than the beast to die. That can actually drag a beast to death. Because of that gas is so strong. So what was happening to this lady? It was the gas. So I talked to this guy to say, I've managed to ascertain that because this lady is having gas. This is gas, right? So she needed some degassers and things like that. So I communicated. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's what really worked out, but unfortunately, just some few. I think the next day she was gone. Literally, if I was to be asked the cause of death, I would write Mahewa Kavira. You know. That's what I would write. She died. I think the next day, it was the first time in the hospital. Remember what we learned? These habits, they can actually cause acute conditions. The high blood pressure just came there, boom, everything, boom, 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 she's gone. But of those simple things, where I am these days, fellowshipping aid, there's a church member. Just said, no, he's not feeling well. He's not feeling well. He's not feeling well. And he has been into the hospital. So when he came back from the hospital, he looked very sick. And I visited him. And we were discussing, how did this thing start? What are the signs and what have you? And we came also to analyze. But this guy, it manifested in a different form. But he said, I was with him, the sisters, his wife, young sister, right? When he was at work, gave him what? The maheu again, right? So it triggered the acid reflux, right? It triggered the acid reflux. I think it also affected the nerves. Then you could. There was weakness in the joints and everything else. But how it started when we were doing the history analysis, it started when he drank maheu, and he described to me, these maheu were mature. He was the one who said to me, "This maheu were what? Mature." So I understanding something. The moment you are discussing with a patient, how did it start? When did it start? It helps you when you are formulating and instructing. Sometimes you never go to this, don't go drink what and what. We just have to sort these things out and it's gone. Are we together? Okay, so that is very important. The past, we said what? Let's just take a quick review. Number one, look at where they stay, demographic. Number two, what is the patient complaining with? Allow them to say it in their own words. Are we together? We call it's subjective. Let them tell you. So that's a subjective. We are going to go to the objective, but the subjective, let them tell you in their own words. Even if they say it in their broken, I don't know, they say, I feel this. Don't worry. Just write it as they are saying it. Are we together? Okay. Then we go to what we call systems review. Systems review, now, this is very important. Can we have a board? I saw a board. Where is, can we get the board there? Okay, systems review. You are now asking questions related to the system. How do you have headaches, history of headaches, any problems with your stomach, any problems with what? You are trying to ask about the systems, just trying to check, because they've got also a connection in how they can affect the body. That's why we are saying this takes what? 75 to 85% of your solution. Are we together? Okay. Then we look at the past surgical. Yes. Yes. Demography. Demo. You ask a person, where do they stay? Where do they live? General information of where they live. Yes. Just that will give you an understanding of, it actually helps you in formulating the recommendations you are going to give. Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we said demographics. You look at what? Patient history. the complaints, current complaints or patient's complaints. You look at what? Before systems, past patient complains. What the patient is complaining about, look at that history. When did it start? How did it start? Are we together? Then you now to go to systems, right? I want to show you a simple way. Okay, in the actual procedures, there is the way you can do it, right? But we are not going to take that route. We are going to take a simplified route that will help us to understand. So that as you are dealing with the person, ask these particular questions, they will actually help you in whatever you want to do. As he's coming, look at the past surgical and medical history. What has been your past medical history? The person may be feeling nauseated, the person may be feeling a headache, but look at the past medical history. Let me share with you recently, there's this particular company in Zimbabwe. Thank you. There's something to write. Okay, the board to write. I think. Okay. There's this particular company in Zimbabwe, and usually they ask me for the services. So now they formulated they call it was almost like a platform where they've, because of the clients those they deal with, so they asked me to say, okay, we want you to be helping these patients and presenting to them on a 3-monthly basis. There was a schedule which they created. Unfortunately, this platform which they had created, the number of subscribers went down, or because of these scams that are happening quite a lot. So the numbers were a bit low. So they said, no, we are going to cancel. But there were people who have actually registered. Then I decided, you know what? I'm going to do you a favor, guys, right? I'm going to do one-on-one consultations with the people who had registered already. And they were quite, okay, for one-on-one consultations, there were many. But according to their number, which they looked at, it was a smaller number. So one thing which, thank you. Okay, get to two chairs, thank you. So now I engage them on a personal level doing the consultations. Now I discovered something. A person had registered under a group of digestive disorders. But that person, if you look at the history, medical history, he is diabetic, he has got high blood pressure. And you can recommend licorice, one of the best remedies for acid reflux, or we call it GERD. GERD meaning, or GOD, meaning gastroesophageal reflux disease. Are we together? Okay. So one of the best remedies that you can prescribe there is licorice. But licorice is contraindicated for high blood pressure. We are going to talk about these words when we discuss hydrotherapy. Are we together? So are you seeing, understanding the past medical history? We say, no, you have got acids, use licorice. But you have not asked the person's medical history and surgical history. When you ask that, most of the people, you realize you are dealing with a lady, especially ladies, they've gone through under hysterectomy. Right? Yeah. 1990. Ask them, have you ever been in any major medical surgery? Say, no. I remember in 1992. There's a hysterectomy. Okay. Well, it also helps you, or possibly, what is the lifestyle of this person? Are you getting it? Already you are advanced. Remember, the only hope for better things is in the education of people, in the right habits of. It's not just running to say, go in. Let me tell you, when people ask me about, this is my statement, herbs and drugs are the same. Do you know that? Yeah. Because we are using them in the same principle. When someone has got a headache, is grabbing a what? A pill. When someone has got a headache, is grabbing a herb. So in principle, it's the same. What we are told, we have to ascertain the cause and healthful conditions, change wrong habits, corrected. Then we are all skipping the 3 important steps. I call those are your mops, right? To mop the water that is already there. Whether you buy a mop from China or Cuba, as long as the tap is not closed, it doesn't matter. Whether it's the most powerful herbs under this earth, but as long as we have not done these 3 steps, we are doing nothing. So our duty is actually to, the moment we address these 3, you realize that as we come to the condition, it's already done. It's a done deal. I've seen patients smiling to say, you know what? I didn't know that this is, exactly, this is what I was doing. You realize, oh, okay, this is what you just need. There was a lady, Mambat. When I was doing the workshops, there was a program that we were doing in all the provinces. Remember, we're talking about medical missionary. There's no limit, right? We're doing, especially in the corporate sectors. I've done more workshops in the corporate sectors, right? Almost every province. And even the leaders of those particular provinces, we call them the PEDs and what we have presented to them. But one thing I've noticed, so people will come after the presentation, okay, I've got this problem and I've got that problem. What do I do? What we have learned and what we will be learning will not just be quoting it from Ministry of Healing. It just be coming from here. And people will be saying, where did these people get these things? Even the world, they marvel to say, where do we get these things from? So one of the ladies, I'm just picking some few examples. Remember I said, I want to relate so that you understand and not belittle what we are learning. So this lady was having she was having severe, it was what? This one had, okay, she had some blisters here on the nose. She had tried to use everything that they showed her to do, or they prescribed her to use, and it was not getting away. So after the presentations, she came and said, you know what, I've been having this problem. Now it makes me uncomfortable. She complained about a lot of things. They said, okay, you were listening to what we were studying, right? Okay, she said, yes. He said, go and practice that. But on top of that, I want you to take note. Cut down on, remove for now, stay away from peanut butter, roasted nuts, and chocolate cheese, right? Stay away and dairy. Lo and behold, just some few weeks down the line, she sent to me and said, the problem is gone for the first time in my life. And it went for good. This other lady was actually, she didn't, for the time she came, after the presentation, said, okay, I'm having this problem, what do I do? Did you hear what we were studying? Said, yes. Go and do what we are studying. But for you, I want you to go and drink water. So when we met at that time, then she came to me and said, you know what? That day when we spoke, do you still remember me? We met in this particular district that other time. And she came to me and said, you know what? That day, I was actually on my way to the farmers. Then I decided, let me just try. These are non-Adventists I'm talking about. She said, okay, let me try what you have said. To be honest, he was now giving the report. I wasn't drinking water at all. And from that day, when I started drinking water, that was the end of my problem. Just that. Are you getting what I'm saying here? So I'm saying the moment you talk to people, you understand some of the solutions are so simple. Can you explain how Naaman was healed from leprosy? Can you explain how the walls of Jericho fell? Is there a war strategy like that? It's just there to demonstrate God's power. And can you boast in the world to say, I cure diseases? How? Thank you. You can't even stand and say, we deal with everything. But you know the strategies. These strategies, they need you to believe in God, but the results are sure. So when you go through with the people, you start to sometimes you just give 2-3 things just to say, go and drink water. Like Christ would say, go and wash. That's a good one. Go and wash. Just go and wash. Things are okay. Are we together, church? We have to see miracles more than what Christ did. He promised that no, greater things are to come. And who is to do those greater things? You and me. We have to believe in this power. But there's a way in which Christ has given us that we are to do it. No cutting corners, brethren. The more we cut corners, I don't know, we are going to complicate ourselves. Okay. I was having a chat with some people, and there's this particular system. I said, this is too complicated for what God has told us to do. This is going to fail. Because we have put a complicated system than what God has what? God has said, let me rush. Okay, you brought the board. Thank you. Past medical history and surgical history, I think I've mentioned, you get to know what. So when you're asking this, it's giving you a clue already what this thing could be. Are we together? All right. Medical history, past medical history and the current medical history is also important. Social history. What is the social history? That is very important. Social history. What's the social history like? How do they relate with other people? That is very important. We had a patient that patient had diabetes. She had stroke. She had stroked for more than a year. They've tried. Actually, I've got videos of that lady. Unfortunately, we don't have a project. I could have shown you. Right. This lady, she was the physiotherapist would come and try to do the sessions and whatever. Up to a point when this lady said, no, I don't want to see this man. Right? She quitted that. She stayed for more than a year. Then they had, no, okay, maybe you can try these guys, they can help you. She came, so they talked to the doctor, and the doctor said, with the character of your mother, you want to book for a month. That won't work. Why can't you try 10 days? Because she will not be able to stay for those 10 days. Then they decided, they came, they booked for, we encouraged her, she booked for a month. Then during this month, around the mid part of the month, she would complain. I don't want this, I want to go back home and I want to do this. The treatments, the hydrotherapy treatments and other treatments that she was getting, instead of them quenching the pain, it was actually increasing the pain. Up to a point they said, no, let's stop all treatments. We are stopping all treatments. So what are we going to do? Around 3 in the evening, I'll come and I'll take her. She could not walk at all. So we'll take her by the wheelchair. Where are we going? Who can guess? Who can guess where we are going? We are going to the garden. So after I'm done with other patients, 3 o'clock, I'll come and take her. So we'll drive out of a room, would walk to the garden. When we came to the garden, she saw a lime tree that was dried up. And she said, you know what? This tree is dried up. I said, yes. Then I saw an object lesson. Okay, this tree is dried up, but if we give it water, what happens? I said, it will revive. I said, okay, that's fine. You yourself, you are saying you are dead. You are good for nothing. You can't do anything. You are useless. Can't you also think that if we give you what you need, you can also be revived? Then she laughed. They said, but you are saying the truth. We had stayed with this mother for a month now, and she was not able to move or to do what. And the son, I don't know here if you've got Christ Embassy Ministries, the one that is owned by Pastor Chris. Okay. So that's where the son worships. So he came to my office and said, you know what? I called him, come to my office. And the incidents I'm talking about, it was before. So we had passed 1 month. Then I called him to my office and he came. And we discussed. He said, you know what? your mother is complaining, she wants to go home. For us, it's difficult to treat a person whose heart is not here, because we want her heart to be with us. You can take her back home. When she feels she has seen her place, she can come back. But I saw that nothing is happening. I said, you know what? She's not going anywhere. I'm just coming from the church. I've given a testimony to the church. I said, oh, nothing is happening to this lady, and you see that you've given a testimony. What is the testimony about? Said, I've never seen my mother eating vegetables. If mixed vegetables were put in a place, he mentioned that one time she went to the other brother in Australia. Then she was served those mixed veggies. She was taking them out and throwing them out. I saw her eating a bowl of broccoli and cauliflower. I said, praise God. I'm coming from the church to testify. Then I said, Lord, may you heal me of this little faith. Then I went and prayed, come back to the section. We're going to learn about it. Chapter 17 talks about invalids. Then we decided we are stopping all treatments. I'll be taking her out to the garden. That's where this story happened. I tell you, brothers and sisters, that on day 4 of doing that, when she was coming from the bathroom, she just said to the female therapist, leave me. No, you said, leave me. From that day, she started walking. We tried, your diabetes, your glycemic index was reaching 24 point. I think she just comes out like that. She doesn't know whether she's put on clothes or not. That's how bad these things are. So she was worried. So they were thinking the mother is what? Is mad. And they said, you know what? So what are you going to do to it? They were worried. We asked, what utensils do you have? Do you have aluminium? Oh, that's the kitchenware for my mother. That's the what? So looking at the lifestyle aspects, what do they eat? Ask them what time, what's your break? Generally people say, no, I just eat this. No, don't allow them to do that. Ask them, okay, they will speak. Okay, yeah, I just eat it. Okay, it's fine. So generally ask them, okay, generally for breakfast, what do you take? Walk them through now, right? Because you know what you want to figure out. They will say, no, I just eat bread and zaza and what, it's okay, it's fine. But tell me, what do you eat for breakfast, normally eat? They tell you, okay, what time? Okay, the next meal is what? Okay, so what do you normally eat that time? What do you like? Right? You're actually seeing, for example, because you yourself, you would know, okay, because you have studied and know, okay, that main thing is that really causes this is what? So as you are talking to people, you are actually figuring out some things. What are their sleeping patterns? Especially, let me say this to health reformers. You may be eating well, but if your sleeping pattern is not okay, you will have challenges with the vitamin B12. Did you get that right? Yes. So if your sleeping pattern is not right, you have higher chances of vitamin B12 deficiency. Right? So check the sleeping patterns, the exercise routine. Sometimes, okay, exercise routine, how they are exercising, temperance aspect, the religious aspect. Okay, so these are things that you are trying to ask and check how they are faring about. That constitute how many % of your diagnosis? 75 to 85%. Examination is only 10. Then the test and the x-rays and what is only 5%. They are just there to confirm. So what this states the platform for you to know the cause. Any questions on us understanding the cause? How do we ascertain? We just read, let's ascertain the cause, but how? How? Any questions on the how part? Yes. Yes. Okay. You should be, the Bible says we should be wise as a what? Okay. And meek as a what? As a dove. So there is a way in what you do, like usually you ask open-ended question. Remember I said do not suggest to them. Are we together? Our challenge usually is to quickly, even if you know, do you know their patients? When they come to me already, I know their condition. When I say already, I've seen them, I've evaluated already. I know this person is suffering from what. But I'm not quick to suggest. But the moment I'm quick to suggest and I'm leaned there, I may miss other things. So I give them time, probe them. When they ask, give me a response, I also probe a question. So you are asking open-ended questions, right? That are probing, that you have to ask and continue. They will be giving you feedback. Usually, when they gain confidence, they start to tell you even things which you have not asked them to talk about. That's generally how it is, right? So I think, having said that, let me quickly jump. I think on the ascertaining part, we have... Okay, here and we go there. Yes. You just ask about, is there anything that they are holding on to, someone who has wronged them and they are failing to forgive, something like that, right? If someone is having some digestive disorders, you, on the mental aspect, you ask about having anxiety. Is there something that is worrying them? Those things, they are of importance. When you are looking at the liver, you are looking now at the anger levels. Yes, you are looking at the anger levels. Do you know what's called? Do you know what's called bioemosis or biliousness? Sorry? Cola. Okay, where you vomit that green or yellow stuff. But the bio, yes. You call it what? Yeah. Dulu, yes. Okay. How do you treat that? How do you treat that? Generally, what do you recommend a person to use? Give more water, yes. The biliousness or bioemosis. It comes as a green, it's very bitter, and it's that causes the person to have the symptoms. Usually, when you vomit it, right, you start to feel very weak. It's like your joints have been what? Have been cut, something like that, right? Usually, those that use a lot of alcohol, they have it. But for the general people, if you study about it more, it has something to do with an emotional disturbance, right? So those are asking around anger issues to say, yeah. Usually you start to remember. People start to laugh to say, me, if you just do this to me, you'll see. Then you start to what? You start to counsel, help them. How do they overcome? How do they overcome it? That's the work of a medical missionary. Are we together? It's to educate them. So how do you do it? You can't do it on your own, right? Yes, you have this, but also Christ, you can't be asking for grace, but you are doing the things that actually causes it to be even more to you, especially the raw and cooked, the unripe foods, your hot stuff, right? Your peppers, your hot chilies, right? They actually make it more. Your meat actually intensifies it to be more. On the ascertaining part, I think for now, if there are other questions, then we can pick it up from the. Okay, I saw a hand. Okay, so where we are now, I've given on ascertaining the cause, right? So what we do is, remember we said what you do when you're ascertaining the cause. These are the questions you ask. But now when you understand the true nature of the disease, remember ascertaining the cause and understanding the true nature of the disease. When you are now understanding the true nature of the disease, you are looking at what is the mechanism. How does this disease, that's why I was saying, doctors are not our enemies, and they are not our enemies, they are our friends. That's where information comes into play. As we are sitting, instead of us wasting time, sit down and say, what is the mechanism of high blood pressure? That's now what? Information. You can find it. Okay, learn about, okay, so what are the, how does it present? Okay, so what are the signs and symptoms? What are the complications? Right? What are the red flags per se? What are the emergencies? That's why we are told we have to understand the true nature of. So you see, we have a big job. Because we are understanding the true cause, we have to understand the true nature. So your question comes under understanding the true nature. Are we together? So understanding the true nature now, we have to put a disease that we are dealing with in perspective. If it's a high blood pressure, what are the emergencies in high blood pressure? We have let's use high blood pressure for example. We have gradings of high blood pressure. What is the normal range? Oh, that's an average. What's the range? Okay, that's a range now, right? Okay, that's a range. Then what is the pre-hypertension phase? We say it's pre-hypertension. The upper limit 121 to 139. The lower limit 80 to 90, right? That's a pre-hypertension phase. The person has no high blood pressure. But that's a pre-hypertension. What's the stage 1 of high blood pressure? All right. So that one we've put it in pre-hypertension. 140 to what? 149. Okay. What about the lower limit, the diastolic, the one that is at the bottom? 90 to 99. That's stage what? 1. But we can't just say a person has come and said, okay, the high blood pressure is 141 over 99. We say you've got high blood pressure. We have to take it 3 consecutive times, 6 hours apart. Are we together? If it's consistently high or persistently high, then that's where we can say this is a what? High blood pressure patient. Are we together? Then the stage 2. What's the stage 2? So usually stage 1 runs from 140 to 159. Then the second stage comes from 161 to 179 on the upper limit, right? Then when it's above 180 over 110, that's severe hypertension. That's an emergency. Are we together? So recognizing under clinical settings, that person should be hospitalized. But this is the way you can do it if that's that far. One way is give high dose. What you can do is do an enema with garlic. Take a bulb of garlic, put it in water, blend it with water. Sorry, with water and with oil. Why are you blending with oil? So that doesn't irritate. So instantly it lowers that even if it's around 200 and something. That's an emergency. Sorry? If you've got garlic oil, is it readily available? If you've got garlic oil, you can use the garlic oil already. But if you don't have, you now have to blend the garlic with the oil. Right? So the oil works as a carrier. So you just say a bulb with the amount of oil that you can have. As long as the oil is there, it does not allow the garlic, because garlic is burning. So you are applying it rectally so that through the hemorrhoidal vein, it goes right straight to the liver with a quick response. Because if you put it here, it's going to take longer to be in the system. So that's why you put it rectally. Or if you don't have that way, you can just even take a higher dose of garlic and cayenne pepper. Give the person as you are on your way to the hospital if you don't know other modalities too. But we are saying for you to recognize that's an emergency. If it's 180 over 110, that's severe high blood pressure. It needs hospitalization. But naturally, that's how you can deal with it, even if it's what? It's severe like that. So that one now, you are now dealing on understanding the true nature of the condition. You have stages. Are we together? Yes. so that you move, understand that condition, what are the causes, what are the symptoms, what are the complications, what are the emergencies. So I'm saying that information is readily available. You can find it anyway. The Bible says what? Get wisdom, and in order getting understanding. So how you do it, never worry yourself. In medicine, there's a thought that common things are common. How do you know? When you meet a case, you attend to it. That's how you know it better. So don't worry, I need to know how many diseases and what. No, as they come to you, you know. Okay, now you met someone with high blood pressure. Why can't you now further your study? Okay, so what are the things that has to do with? So what you are now broadening about high blood pressure. Next time it's another condition. Don't ever think you are going to know. That's information. You will always be reading, understanding. But there's more. You have the principles. You are good to go. You can help any case per se. Are we together? All right. I didn't think we were going to take this long on this. I wanted us to look at, so how, after we've ascertained the cause, how do we now get to assist these people? Okay. No. Our time is actually up. So we can't now do it now. So we'll be beaten and we said you guys are not listening. But I sent 2 PDFs, right? Okay, that's for what? Hydro. So I want you to give you a homework. Go and read those documents. The hydro one, just read the first things. Don't read everything. If you've got time, it's okay. But just read the first notes I've put there. Then the rest there I've given you for your time. You see, it's selected hydrotherapy for different conditions. If it's a cough, it's a what are the different hydrotherapy things that you can do? There are quite many. It's not only one. If you have got a headache, if you have got this, what the options that you have? Are we together? Okay. So you can, but what we will consider is I would want us to study the notes that I've put on the top. Then the rest is for you to, it's for your use wherever you go. You can be using. Then for the massage, I think it's clear. Just go through it. The few notes that I've put there. Then tomorrow we'll be able to do those practicals. So tomorrow we're going to deal with those 2 practicals. We finish up this. Then we go to botany. Okay. Thank you. Any other question, comment before we close? Yes. Yeah, this one you blend it. You put in a blender, you blend the concentration. You're anally, if it's a suppository, working as a suppository, that could, but if you want an immediate effect, because what happens, we don't want it to be high for the longer time, because that's now risky to the organs that have got small blood vessels, your eyes, your ears, and your kidneys. Where we have got more of kidney failures is because the high blood pressure went up. And I think yesterday I received someone saying the relative, she's having some sounds in the ears. That's a sign of a severe high blood pressure. What it does, it can block ears and you have problems. Yes. Yes. Okay, that's where I said that is under clinical condition is hospitalization. So it also, if you don't have, the principle is, I think maybe I have not, remember in dealing with conditions, right, there's the process we take, but there are what we call life-saving interventions. We have to, emergencies, right? So what you do is, if you are not conversant with how to deal with, it's the best to refer. But if you know how to do it, then you can what? You can apply. Are we together? Yes. If you know how to deal with it, then deal with it. But if you don't know, please refer. Are we together? Yes. That's wisdom. Yes. But some other times, even those that we are referring to, they are clueless. So it's now you have to do. Like I've given you some situations. The other clinics we run, it will be doctors that side and medical missionaries that side. So you come together, you see the case. We had emergencies. One was of an infant. I think it was a boy. He was having challenges to breathe. So he was having difficulties in breathing and quite some challenges. So the physicians were there, examined him, and they said, no, we should refer. This is an emergency, is to go to this particular hospital in Harare. So they were organizing for an ambulance. Unfortunately, the ambulance was not there. They tried to organize for a car. You know what grace does sometimes? It's a very big place. There are cars more. These are not cars. It's cars all over. But they couldn't find a car to carry this child to the hospital. And the referral letter was actually written. I told them, write a referral letter. The doctor wrote a referral letter to go to this particular hospital that is in Harare. So they came back to me and says, we couldn't find the car. Then I said, this is God. Instantly, actually the doctor was standing near us. And I was debating with this friend of mine, what do we do? For that case now, we just thought, okay, in this case, okay, I have not, maybe we'll discuss it when we do botany. Tinctures, right? Some tinctures are alcoholic based, what, that's okay. But as a life-saving intervention, we pulled out lobelia tincture. Now the question, the debate was, this is a child, what do we do? And everyone is looking, this is an emergency, what will happen? So this lady physician had us discussing, because she had pushed that the child goes. But now that option is blocked. There's no car. So she had us discussing, so what do we do? Because generally for an adult dose, it's two drops under the what? Under the tongue. So we were discussing and debating what do we, because we did some fomentations and it really subsided. But she was worried that usually children in the night, they get worse. So here we don't have an access to O2 oxygen. So if it gets bad here, we are in serious trouble. I've seen the changes, yes, with the fermentation, but I'm not really yet there to say we can safely sleep with this child here. Said, that's fine, you can write a referral. Then the process went on, they could not get the car. So we are now discussing, what do we do? And we said, okay, so what dose do we give him? Okay, said, no. Then she just said, give him. Looked at her, said, give him. Said, okay, how many doses? I don't know, but guys, just give him. Then we said, okay, that a prayer in heaven. Instantly, the child, it was okay. So sometimes it's a real emergency, but it is for the power of God. That lady, now physician, she's now prominent in medical mission. She said, these two incidents, it was God allowing me to grow in faith. She's now an advocate of medical missionary through that experience. She was having difficult breathing, right? And I think it had compounded. There were quite a lot of factors that were really, but the main challenge now was the breathing. So to really to retain, so that this one was a boy. So for him to really breathe, that was where the problem is. So the oxygen saturation was actually low. So he actually needed what? O2. Yeah, so, but there wasn't. It was a proper clinic, but that clinic didn't have O2. So we had to refer to another what? To another hospital. Yes. The child was very young, and the parents were very worried. You see, if doctors, and sometimes, let me give another thing. Sometimes, usually I've seen this. Doctors are good when they're in a hospital setting, which there is everything there. When you are outside, it looks like, that's why maybe Brother Mjo was saying you have to kick out the box. So as medical missionaries, we have a lot of things. You think this is not there. There's this famous musician that is there now in Zimbabwe. You know Evalon Mlalas. The helper, when he was putting water into the tub, she fell and she was bent all her body. She was rushed to the hospital. The nurses who were there, there's no cream. Said, don't worry. We ran out, looked for lots of aloe vera. In 2 days' time, the wounds had dried up. I see the miracles of God. So he allowed the cream to run out. Said, I'm going to show you. There were prominent pastors who were anti the message. They came to the hospital. He said, what's it? We are hearing things here. We are hearing things. There are things that are happening here. What's happening here? I said, this is the God of heaven. So sometimes in the emergencies, if you don't know, refer. But sometimes even those that you are referring to, they may not even solve. It will be put back to you. God has given you an opportunity to what? To work. Are we together? One of the ladies was a doctor in internship. She cried in front of a patient because she was the one dealing with the patient and she couldn't figure out what was happening. She started crying. Literally crying. Then I took her aside. Doc, what's happening? No, I've tried this and I've tried this and it's not working. So what? So is this going to solve? If you cry, is it going to solve? No. Yeah? But she was stuck. She tried whatever she thought she could, and it did not work. Actually, the family was complaining. Then she broke in tears. Said, don't worry. Don't worry. It'll be sorted. That's the patient I told you we ended up giving the diplorincas and the charcoal. And the thing went. And hallelujah to God. So may God be with you. How you can start? Start with what you know. The best way to knowledge is not by reading, it's by revelation. When you study, when you practice what you know, God reveals. Did you get that one? Yes. When you start, when you use what you know. I still remember what I started. The first thing I knew was hydrotherapy, hot foot bath. Every patient was hot foot bath. Every patient was hot foot bath. And people were being, but that's what I knew. And honestly, with the prayer, I was doing it and people were healed. That's how God works. So with what you know, practice it. God will open a way. Are we together? Just do it, perfect it. Lord, this is what I know. God opens to you. You continue to know more and more and more and more. Are we together? I saw a hand there. I don't know if there's other comment before we close.
Basically, what you're saying is there's a lot.
Yes. There's a lot to learn.
Because you know, what I have seen, and this is what I don't like about medical missionaries.
Yes.
People think because they have known wet sheet wrap
Yes.
or hot food bath,
Yes.
they have known everything.
No.
And there are so many mistakes
Yes.
that medical missionaries are doing.
Yes.
And the fight that we have with medical doctors,
Yes.
I think it's a right fight.
It's not a right fight.
Because every profession has its place.
Yes.
That's how I understand.
Yes.
And we need to encourage each other as medical missionaries that we need not to settle for low.
Yes. We need not to settle for low.
We need to settle for the high standards.
Yes.
I visited Romania at Hegelia.
Eagerly, yes.
They do have a sanitarium.
Yes.
Man, I have never seen such a sanitarium with such equipment for hydrotherapy, things that I've never seen.
Yes.
Now, they do treatments, perfect treatments.
Yes.
The owner of the sanitarium, he is a medical doctor,
Yes.
but he advocates for
Healthful living. The medical missionary work.
natural healing.
Yes.
They have a salt room.
Yes.
You know, salt does healing
Yes.
because the body needs all these elements that are in the soap. But I have never seen that anywhere
Yes.
where people are practicing what?
Medical missionary.
Work.
Okay.
Now, what I'm trying to say is the mindset of
Yes.
Don't settle for only the hot food bar and negate the high standard of medical missionary work. Because it is a high standard. God has not called us for low standard.
Yes.
God has called us for high standard.
Yes.
And there is a lot to study. There are so many books. Not only Ministry of Healing. Ministry of Healing is the foundation. Because that's when God shows you that He is the healer. He is the one who heals. You can try everything. You can apply aloe vera and all those kind of things, and things don't work. And every situation is different. It's not that because this one works with aloe vera and everyone is going to work with aloe vera. It doesn't work that way. The same, even the doctors, they startle when they see situations whereby we have tried this, we have done this operation, but it failed this time. Okay? So, even in medical mission work, that does happen. And I like the emphasis that you're putting that, you know what? The main thing is God first. And God does the healing.
Yes.
You do the practice, but God does the healing.
The healing.
And
Yes.
because you're following God, God performs
The miracles for you.
It's not in the aloe vera. It's in the power of God
Yes.
that does the healing.
The healing.
So when we encourage one another, I think to the extreme that I have seen in medical missionary work is to push away the profession. Like, if you're a medical doctor, then there's nothing you can do. If you're a medical doctor, but you fear God, you put God first, you are the power. You are the power because God is in you.
In you. Yes.
So if that is going to be encouraging our youth to say, you know what, go for it, but put God first in everything that you're doing. Make sure you do what God wants you to do because God is leading us towards naturopathy.
Yes.
God is leading us towards medical missionary work. Then if you are a medical doctor and you're going through that, I'm telling you, you're going to be because you understand everything. You're not going to be like this one who is crying and saying, you know what, let's pray.
Let's pray.
The way you encouraged her. You say, you know what, we got to follow what God wants.
That's it.
This is God's.
Thank you very much. So I think, like what we have been learning, that this work is a higher work. Are we together? Okay. So where do we start from? We understand what God wants us to do. We do it. Remember, we said the principal thing is to get what? Wisdom. When you have gotten wisdom, in all thy getting, get understanding. And what is that in understanding? I was mentioning about there's a lot of information that we can study. But how do you know about it? Medicine, common things are common. Don't ever think the physicians know every condition. That's why sometimes they say, okay, go and take this thing. Right? You come back after 3 days. 3 days is on book. What is that thing? I've worked, remember I told you I'm going to tip you how you can best work with the physicians. Those I've worked with them and I work with them. And I give them a problem. I give them a problem a lot. Why? One of the things that you can do is, okay, you want to understand about high blood pressure. Just ask you, what is the mechanism of high blood pressure? As he's explaining or she's explaining to you, they feel that you have respected them. But what have you done? You've also gained knowledge. Are you getting it? I want to understand what's the mechanism of diabetes. What are the complications? Humble as a dove, but wise. Are you going to fight with them? No. So we have a way of us gaining knowledge and understanding. So there is much, and they can even, the moment you do that, you have the right knowledge and information. But my point is, you have to start. Where do you start? What is in your hand? The knowledge you have, faithfully pray and utilize it. The moment you utilize, God reveals. Are we together? Yes. Most people will be disappointed. So, how many years have you been doing? You think we all need to have more years for us to do that? That's not it. Are we together? What a person has taken 14 years, 20 years to learn, someone can learn it in a day. So it's not about the years. Many people worry. No, what you know, practice it. That's the best way to knowledge. you have done, you see the need. Now I need to learn about this. Because yes, but so what does it really mean? When you are doing it, you have that edge to say, I need to understand this better. I need to understand this. But what are you doing? You are increasing your scope of understanding. Are we together? All right. Thank you very much. And the board came. We did not use it. I don't know why. All right. Thank you. But I wanted to show you how you do systems review. But you can remind us, sorry, the time is up. Unless we can close and we say as we are waiting, those that want to go can go. Those who want to, we can, as we are waiting for the food. So that I know that our lesson is done, but we now have extra classes. They also need more time. Okay, but we can release those who would want to go. Are we together? So let's pray so that we show. I didn't answer the question. What was the question? Sorry. You wanted to ask. Please, you can go ahead and ask. Yes. 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 On his, okay. What happened? These cases are now too many, right? So I will just pick the other, but the exact details. Some of them I would have, yeah. But I still remember the key. Okay, usually lobelia tincture is like a rescue remedy, right? Sometimes when you're doing hydrotherapy, right, or even cayenne pepper, sometimes people, when you are doing hydrotherapy, sometimes there's a shock that happens in the body. Someone can collapse in hydrotherapy. Do you know that? Yeah. So usually what happens, because there is a redistribution of blood flow. Yeah, there's back in Zim, there is someone who was in a capsule, so collapsed at a center. Right, that's actually the current Adventist lifestyle center. So it's also good to know people. That's why you're saying after a hydrotherapy session, don't allow the patient just walk. You have to help them because of the redistribution. So it actually helps the body to supply more blood, to help it to pump more faster. It's almost like it increases the demand so that there's more blood pumped. Are we together? So when there's more blood, it's now supplied, and oxygen is supplied to the what? To the different parts. So usually, lobelia, what it does, okay, they call it what? It's which country? Which they call it tobacco. If you have ever seen lobelia, it's when it's processed, it's brown. If it's the powder, it's almost like chokes you up. Right. So when you are dealing with it, you have to be careful. Right. So when you give lobelia, it opens the lungs. That's one of its powerful works. When someone is really struggling with breathing, as an emergency intervention, if you put it under the tongue, it opens the what? It opens the lungs. It improves breathing of that particular patient. But I think the child was less than 3. Usually, we are going to do that in our botany, right? In our botany class, where we say if it's an adult dose, what is the child's dose? Basically, usually it's 1/3 of the adult or a quarter. That's why we are now debating. Because a quarter of a drop, what is that? You get the point? All right. So that's why we're saying, okay, so what do we do here? It's only that we say, no, put 2. I said, okay, if God had used this lady to say put 2, then we are going to do it by faith. All right. But the good thing with natural remedies, okay, when I'm saying natural remedies, now we are taking a bias towards herbs, right? Or the things that we use, your cayenne pepper, your what. But we understood what natural remedies means. Huh? Okay. So thank you for that. Yes. Right. So remember we are saying, God will do. That's why I started with the philosophy and the physiology of medical missionary work, of the work of healing. We have to understand we can't limit God to. That's why we say that the healing, God is the one who puts the healing virtues. Did you remember that statement? Yeah. So we are not going to really, yes, we are going to study how do you approach it, how do you know this property works, but it's not like to the latter. This work, the Spirit will guide us. But we are not saying we should be ignorant. We have to do whatever it takes, study, whatever we're able to study. God opens a way, but some of that, if we can be able to explain God to the later, then we are gods. We are actually God ourselves. So some things, always there's going to be that gap between us and God. Are we together? Yeah, we cannot explain everything to the latter. Shall we pray? Our Father in heaven, thank you so much for the time you have given us. Help us as we break and wait for lunch. But as we continue just giving each other some tips on the systems review, help us to understand this better. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so I've mentioned that when it's system review, right, you are checking from the head to the toe. Are we together? But now as medical missionaries, we are now looking at the most important things. So for the most important things, we have in a car, how do you know the state of the car? What helps you to know the state of the car? Thank you. So do you think man is wise than God that he puts a dashboard? Don't we have a dashboard? We ourselves. We do have. What are those dashboards? We have what we call 5 organs of elimination that we have. So these organs, they work as our dashboard. What are these organs of elimination that we have? Liver is the central. So whatever unhealthy habit that you practice, the thing that suffers the most is your liver. So as you are sick, burdens are lifted at the Calvary. The liver will always be crying. When you snack, when you overeat, the liver will be crying, when will my burdens be carried away? When? So the liver is the central. Okay, what other organ of elimination do we have? Kidneys. Thank you for that. Kidneys. What other organ? The lungs. Let me put here the lungs. What else? The skin. Thank you. And it has got the largest surface area. Are we together? All right. But what is the biggest where we lose a lot of things in our body? Yeah, we call it the colon. Okay. So, now, basically you are looking at this as your dashboard, which gives you an understanding what's happening. So, for the lungs, so we start with the stomach, with the skin. The skin can be dirty or sallow. There's an unnatural darkening of the skin that starts to happen. That is telling you that the body's toxicity is high. There are a lot of toxins in the body. Are we together? Okay, so when the skin starts, because this is an organ of elimination. So it's trying to tell you that no, here it's not okay. In some cases, there is what we call the velvet that starts to happen. You know, lift your palms, but do it this way. The outside should face you. The outside should face you. Okay. I want you to compare the skin that's here, the skin color here, and the skin color there. The skin color here vis-a-vis the skin color that's here. Where is lighter than the other? That can be. Which part is lighter? Turn your hands. Let me see. No. This is lighter. Usually this is you see, even as you can see this sorry, turn it. Okay. If you look at this one, do you see the difference? What do you see? Okay, that's fine. So basically, the upper part of the hand starts to be lighter, right? And where the fingers start here, it starts to lose that glowness. We call it, it's the skin starts to be like the elephant skin, where the boxes here are more pronounced. Okay, so what's happening there? We are saying it's an indication that the body is retaining stew. So the body is not emptying. It's retaining stew. Okay, so retaining stew. If it's lighter, usually it's lighter on the upper part. And even inside when it's bad, it starts to be dark on this upper part. It's retaining stew. So you now check. If you see that, for you to confirm, do you have any episodes of headaches? Okay, usually people say yes. Do you have lower backaches? History of lower backaches? Say, oh, that's common, right? So what is happening when the stew is not moving and it's retained? The colon is close to the back. So when it's not moving, it compresses the back, then there's lower back pain. And it can actually even cause a headache that even if you use painkillers, it does not go away. So, no, I'm using painkillers, but the headache is not what? Going away. The other thing that you can also do is to confirm, ask them to press their left lower quadrant. That's my left. This lower quadrant, this end. And it press. Are you feeling any pain? Say yes, pain. Then it confirms, no, truly the bowels are not completely empty. Are we together? Okay. So for the skin, if you start to see some, so you can start to see some rashes, right? When you see a rash, don't quickly go for those skin what. It's indicating the problem is inside. So the first thing you do is you have to cleanse the blood. So it's actually the blood that is complaining. Are we together? Yeah, but it's showing up because these are our dashboard for us to see the condition of the car. But which car are we talking about now? This car. You can start to see spots. Inside of the palm, there can be some black spots. Black spots are for toxicity. Black spots are for toxicity. But for most of the people, they've got the brown spots inside. Those brown spots, people say, I use a hoe, so I think there is the hoe. No, that thing will be inside your skin. Even if you try to, it doesn't go away. It's actually right in the skin. So usually, I want you to do this study. Go and look for people who have had histories with stroke. Most of the people who stroke, they've got those brown spots. What are they? It's the body flashing a red light. Too much fat and cholesterol. Too much fat and cholesterol. So we are analyzing the skin. Yeah. So it's telling you too much. So if they go for a lipid profile test, most of them, their lipid profile is high. Brown spots. The red spots are very rare, but they mean neurotoxicity. But though these are the common ones you see are the black and brown. Now, the other black that you can see, you see them on the skin, the whole body, right? There will be dots. Those ones you have to quickly suspect a cancer, right? There's a cancer of the skin. You call them what? We have Kaposi sarcoma, the sarcomas, right? Yes. So there are some skin black things that start to appear on your skin. I'm not saying you have cancer, but I'm saying you just have to find your way to know that, okay, because usually sarcomas are aggressive. Are we together? Sarcomas are very aggressive when they do come. All right. So that's for the skin. I think let's leave the skin for now. What else did I leave for the skin? Okay, let's go for the lungs. Lungs, number one, if there is bad breath. But I want you to take note here. The bad breath is not, there's a difference. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, if you see, okay, I'm describing it. It's a sign that you can see when it's lightening up. But the part which I'm saying lightens up is the upper part. This upper. That's the velvet sign. Yeah. Then we come to the lungs. The lungs, they can be bad breath. But this bad breath, it comes in two forms. And it's emanating from different things. Number one, if the bad breath can be picked with someone who is at a distance, it's coming from the lungs. But if it can be picked with someone who is close by, but not someone who is at a distance, it's coming from the colon. Do you get that difference? Okay, I'm not the one coming again. Come again. Where are you lost? Tell me what you have understood. So, brethren, don't hate people who tell you or who say this. They are just telling you that you are not discovering that your dashboard is telling you the door is open, or that the fuel is getting empty. Are we together? When you see people talking, they are trying to lift their hands up and down. They're just communicating something is coming. Right? So if it can be picked with someone at a distance, it's from the lungs. If it's close by, they are coming from the colony. Are we together? That's for the bad breath. Then here we have recurring coughs and flus. Coughs and flus, that doesn't go away. All right, bad breath, recurring coughs, coughs and flus, nagging cough, right? There can be a nagging cough, some chest tightness that can happen. For some people, when they spit out, it can have sputum, right? The mucus, sometimes it's bloody. Sometimes there's actually pus, right? It can come out from those particular lungs. So these are indications. So usually when people spit, I ask them, what did you spit? What is it? Was it like? They don't know. But now we have to know, was it whitish? Was it thick? Was it what? For be able to identify where is it emanating from. Are we together? Okay. So that's important. You are checking in terms of if what's your history like with coughs? What you just quick review just to check briefly about how their body is doing. You will be able to discover quite a lot there. Let's go to the kidneys. Kidneys, you assess the urine. Number one, check the color. What's the right color for the urine? White. It's clear, amber, yellow. What's the color? It's pale, right? Yeah, pale yellow, right? It's pale, close to water there, but it's a bit palish, right? Yes, sometimes people say, okay, drink until it's like what is a recommendation, especially to a generation that is not really drinking water, right? Yes, but the actual color we are saying is pale. So you start to see changes in the color, then it tells you of challenges. Where are kidneys located? Okay, let's see where are our kidneys. Okay, I believe everyone here has got a kidney. I'm expecting you to touch your own kidney. Yeah, just touch where it is. So our kidneys are here, right? So you see when you are doing massage, you have to be very careful on the kidney areas, right? Right. So that's where the kidneys is. So if you touch there, that's where your kidney is. If you feel any pain that is starting from here, then coming this side, then it tells you it's along the kidneys. So we said that pain can from at the back radiating to the front, right? So, but if the pain is there, just there and it's not moving, then probably it's a kidney problem. It could be an infection, right? But if it's moving, then it's a kidney stone. If the pain moves, right, then it's suggestive more of kidney stones. They are the ones which move. And when they move, usually there's a pain. And the pain can actually be excruciating depending on the size. All pains that are in a hollow, they are painful. They do what we call squeeze and release. Ladies can confirm. Why labor is painful? It's in a hollow. It's a squeeze and release. Why kidney stones are painful? They are in a hollow, squeeze and release. Why gallstones are painful? In a hollow, squeeze and release. The same thing is also pain that is caused by gas. Because gas, the body what is trying to do is when the body releases a lot of gas, it traps it. Right? It will be more gas, it traps. So even that's for the colic for the children. Right? Yes. You see the children trying to move, they're trying to follow the direction of the gas. It's very painful, that particular thing. So that could be, so if there's pain on the kidney area, it's also an indication. But the pain, you have to know, is it radiating? So I say, I feel pain here. You have to ask, what's the pain like? Is it a dull pain? Is it a sharp? Is it excruciating? Just try to understand the pain. Knowing the pain, it tells you, okay, so what could it be? If it's a dull pain, if it's a sharp pain, then you know, okay, what is that produces a sharp pain? Are we together? All right. So we are saying the color helps you there. The color should be pale. If you see the urine frothy, okay, it tells you that there is presence of ammonia, right? So it means there's a lot of what? There's a lot of urea. So there's either too much of protein consumption that's happening there. For those that drink, they also have frothy and smelly urine. Frothy. F-R-O-T-Y. It can have a pungent smell, right? Pungence, it's the availability of the ammonia. Where is it coming from? It's coming from excess protein. How do you see that you are consuming excess protein? What are the physical things that you can see and that you can use to determine? Number one, usually there's a tendency of taking the pen, you remove the refill in your ears. You're trying to scratch the ears. That's a sign of too much protein. There are people who try to... Okay, earbuds. Okay? No, sometimes it's itchy in the ears, right? So you are trying to scratch the ears, right? Yeah. You can use a refill, ballpoint refill, and especially for teachers. That's an indication for too much protein. If warts are starting to be more prominent, it's another indication. That's excess protein. But how do you see it is excess protein? We are saying the other sign, we are just taking a digression there, but we're talking about the pungence of the urine. It can be frothy and have a pungence. We are saying that's telling you that the body is having a lot of protein. So protein is harmful to the body when it's in excess. It's not unlike carbohydrate that can be converted and be stored and used for a later time. So proteins are excreted. So that's why we are having a lot of kidney problems, osteoporosis, because for it to buffer, it has to use the calcium from the bone. So we have cases like osteoporosis, your kidney what? Your kidney problems. Then pungency, if you see blood, it's another issue with, could be an infection, itchy urine. It also could be an infection or a UTI. That's a urinary tract infection. I've mentioned of pain, but we have located where the pain can be. Right? You look at where the pain is coming from. If it's here, it means it could be an infection of the kidney. If it is moving or radiating, then possibly you are looking along. You have not yet have you have not come up with a diagnosis. You are in the process. So you are trying to see this picture, right? When you are doing the systems review. Are we together? Now let's go to the bigger one. Then we go. All right. For the colon, what you analyze is the stool. Number one, hard stool and pellet-like. It can be hard alone, or it can be pellet. I'm just putting it on one point here. That's for constipation, right? Hard stool. Hard stool. That stool. Hard stool. Okay, that's a room of convenience, not inconvenience. Is that so? So when you are now there straining your muscles, trying to make the word that it comes out, it's no longer convenience. No. That becomes an inconvenience. Are we together? Where you actually think, should I go? Because you know the struggle. Should I go or no? No, it just come. So when we say when it comes, it should not behave like a submarine. Could be, it's gone. Are we together? It should behave, should wait, swinging for